Tonight is a very special episode of Love and Murder, something you don't want to miss. Do you like scary movies? Well, I'm glad you do, but it has nothing to do with tonight's episode. Tonight, we're doing a murder mystery, and the winner gets an actual prize. Strap in and listen now. It's Love and Murder. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new and special episode of Love and Murder, a weekly true crime podcast discussing relationships gone terribly wrong, where our motto is, you're either someone's last love or their first murder. I'm your host, Kai, and our normal show discusses true crime cases told in the form of a story with mystery and suspense. However, tonight's show is a very, very, very special show. And I wanted to come on and do this because we were missing episodes from this week. We're missing our regular full-length episode, and we're missing Basically Detectives. So I didn't want to leave y'all with totally nothing. I wanted to give y'all something special. Now, you may ask, why are we missing the shows this week? Well, life happens, and it happened to us. And both me and Rick. So this week we didn't have regular full episode and Basically Detectives. However, not to leave you waiting anymore. This week, we have a murder mystery for y'all. Don't turn it off. You don't want to miss this. This murder mystery is something that we came up with here at Love and Murder, and we figured we'd have a game for y'all since we missed this week's episodes. So, the thing about this murder mystery is I'm going to tell this story. You're going to have to listen. You're going to have to take notes. And the first person to come up with the who did it and at least closest to the why, they're going to win a prize. So the prize that they're going to win is the first person to come up with who did it and at least closest to why they did it, the motive. On our free Love and Murder site, you'll get $10. I know you didn't think I was going to say $100. $10. You'll get $10 from me. And from our lovely lambs in our exclusive Patreon, the first person to come up with it gets $20. Yeah, you should have been a Patreon subscriber. You should have been a Patreon subscriber. And no, you can't just sign up for Patreon now and get $20. No, these are our longtime Patreon subscribers. So if you want some more of this, and anytime we drop in with one of these and you want an option to win more money than the free listeners, drop on into our Patreon. Anyway, so you might get this very, very easy because I am not an author. I don't pretend to be. And I don't know how out there the clues are. So it might be very easy. This is my first one. We'll be doing more of these. Because, I think it's something fun. So we'll be doing more of these, maybe one or two throughout the year. We'll see. Then again, maybe we'll only do it on our Patreon. Who knows? You never know. Either way, please don't bash me if this is very easy for you to come up with. Like I said, not an author. First time doing a murder mystery. It's super hard. But it was fun, and I wanted to give y'all something fun to listen to since we didn't have full length and Basically Detectives this week. So sit down, grab your butts, grab your apple juice. You know how we do it here at Lamb. And let's get into today's episode. Love, riches, or revenge? Who killed Kelly Johnson? It's up to you to tell us who the killer is and why they did it. You can send your answers to our email at noconductradio@gmail.com. That's noconductradio@gmail.com. First person to get the answer correct, as well as closest to the motive, gets the prize. If no one gets it, there will be no prize. Let's get into it. Emily Jones could hear the familiar crisp clacking of heels. She straightened up a little. Today was the day. Kelly Johnson, the real estate mogul, was going to announce the CFO of her company. It was the break Emily knew she deserved, so she flashed the best smile she could at her boss. Kelly nodded back at Emily. I'm late. Ran into Rachel again, same old stuff. Kelly was referring to her neighbor Rachel Green. The woman had battled out a property line dispute in court, and Kelly had won. But that didn't stop Rachel from making bitter comments and threats. Meeting in 10 minutes. Tell David to join me in the conference room, Kelly said, walking fast. Emily reminded Kelly of her younger self, about 17 years ago. Young, eager, ambitious, and a little naive. Kelly Johnson had come from nothing. Her parents could barely put food on the table, and battling cancer, her mother had died young. Consequently, Kelly had to learn to be self-reliant from a young age. She worked diligently, studied ardently, and eventually became a successful realtor after 6 years of dedicated effort. However, Kelly's ambitions did not stop there. She decided to take on a new challenge and purchased a shabby rundown motel with the help of investors. With a vision to transform it into a luxury hotel, she successfully oversaw the extensive renovations and turned her dream into reality. She had partnered with her best friend from high school, Lucas Reed, to create Harbor View Realty. But the two soon parted ways as Kelly got most of the credit for their work. Kelly felt a twinge of nervousness as she prepared for the upcoming meeting with the company's senior marketing staff. The marketing manager was none other than Michael Bennett, the first man she had ever loved. It was at a shooting range where Kelly and Michael had first crossed paths, quickly hitting it off. Michael had introduced her to the world of hunting and gifted her her very first firearm. The two were coincidentally working for the same company. Michael had gotten her investors she needed for her first motel flip. However, as Kelly's career began to take off, the two grew apart, and she eventually found love with another coworker, outgrowing her past relationship with Michael after a decade together. Michael hadn't taken the news well, but the two still kept in touch. As she entered the conference room, her accountant, David Lee, was already waiting. Her heart skipped a beat as her eyes settled on a familiar face. Kelly was glad that they had moved past this angry breakup. "Michael, it's been too long." She smiled at him. They were meeting with Blue Horizon Realty and looking to work together on a project. Their company head, Lucas Reed, was not in the meeting. Lucas had been with Kelly initially, and the two had founded Harbor View Realtor together before falling out. Lucas had tapped out early and wasn't very happy that all news magazines praised Kelly for her success and left his name out. Lucas got a job at Blue Horizon Realty, and though he had leveled up through promotions, he was still unhappy about what he had lost. He avoided Kelly as much as possible, and it was a well-known fact that he never attended an event where he might run into Kelly. After the meeting, Kelly stopped Michael from leaving. "I wanted to talk to you about something important. I've been considering making some changes to our finance team, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in taking on the role." Michael looked interested. "You mean CFO? That's a big promotion. I'm flattered, but why me? I've always been at the creative side of Harborview." "Well, you've been with the company for 5 years now, and you've consistently delivered results. You have a great eye for marketing strategies and an excellent track record in executing successful campaigns. You work the numbers and get results, and I could use someone like that right now." "I appreciate your vote of confidence, but I'm not sure I'm qualified for such a significant role." Behind them, Emily's pulse quickened. Michael Bennett? How was that fair? He didn't even have a finance background. Kelly shrugged. "I believe you are. Besides, I have faith in your abilities, and I think you do a fantastic job. Plus, you have the support of the entire team." The two agreed to discuss his promotion over dinner next week. That night, the team gathered for drinks. Michael offered to pay for the first round, as Emily watched with a certain bitterness. As the night progressed, and watching Michael's drunken, euphoric behavior because of a promotion that should be hers, Emily's actions became increasingly aggressive as she became more and more drunk.
There's just no pleasing her, is there?
She complained to David.
She could have picked either one of us, but she chose an old pet. How is that fair?
Oh, please. I won't bitch about her like you. I have some old solid facts. I think Kelly is taking money from the company, David revealed.
What?
Emily whispered loudly.
That's embezzlement. That's embezzlement. You have to report it.
I'm not sure right now, but I just have to double check a few things. But I'm positive it's her. Emily left the bar feeling a little reassured. At least Kelly would be out of the company, she thought to herself. The next morning, across town, Detective Alan Parker woke up to a call. Alan, you gotta see this. It's bad. Like, bad. It was his partner, Rick. Something about his voice seemed urgent. When Detective Parker arrived at the scene, he was greeted by a familiar smell. The metallic taste of blood. He knew it was a homicide even before entering the room. A beautiful brunette was slumped over her desk, half her head splattered across the room. Doors and windows were locked, sir. It's almost as if she shot herself, except this wasn't a suicide. No weapon has been recovered at the scene of the crime, sir, an officer reported. Estimated time of death is between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. Parker looked around. This was the house of the famous real estate mogul Kelly Johnson. Looking at her dead body, Parker was immediately convinced. She was a victim of her own success. This was likely a murder for financial reasons. Have you questioned the people who knew her? Yes, it seems like there were plenty of people who wanted her dead. Meaning? Sir, we have 5 potential suspects in this murder case. She recently had a meeting with her old business partner, Lucas Reed. He avoided the meeting for no reason whatsoever, but he's openly her #1 enemy. Suspect 2, Emily Jones, Kelly's assistant, and her colleagues reported her getting drunk and complaining all about Kelly not giving her a well-deserved promotion. Suspect 3, Michael Bennett, the victim's ex-boyfriend. He was dumped for another man. Until recently, he seemed pretty upset about the matter, but Kelly offered him Emily's promotion. Suspect 4, Rachel Green, had a long-standing property line dispute with Kelly, and get this, she can be seen in yesterday's CCTV footage pointing a gun at Kelly. Suspect 5, David Lee, Kelly's accountant. He discovered that she'd been embezzling company money. He was the last person to see her alive, but doesn't seem to have a motive for her murder. Parker interrogated all 5 people, and this seemed to be going nowhere. Michael was just gutted over what happened. He was a mess when Parker called him in. His bloodshot eyes and messy hair indicated he hadn't slept and was possibly crying. I saw Kelly at the bar. She left with David. If I had known this was the last time we were meeting, I would have said something. I was at the bar till 3 a.m. It got pretty late. I was celebrating. I mean, you can see me all on the cameras. I'm there. I get up to use the bathroom a lot. I think I passed out in one of the stalls. I don't remember. I can't believe she's dead. His story checked out. He really was getting up to use the bathroom multiple times. Though Michael was sitting in a blind spot, you could see him every once in a while, laughing around, dancing around, acting increasingly drunk, using the bathroom. In fact, at one point, around 2 a.m., you can see him on the CCTV stumbling out after being in the bathroom for nearly 45 minutes. Emily had been home with her husband, angry over the missed promotion. Her husband was her alibi, but Parker had known spouses to cover in impossible situations. Lucas Reed was unavailable because he wasn't even in the city at the time of the murder, which made the detective all the more suspicious. An important deal was taking place, yet Lucas had chosen not to be in the city? Was he overcompensating for something? Hired hitmen weren't completely unheard of, especially in the real estate business. The computer log spoke for David Lee. He was home working on some files late into the night, well after he'd gotten home. His work was documented on Slack, as well as the company's official files, But these days, one can access files from anywhere with their phones. Parker would have to wait for the IT department to figure out his real location at the time he was logged in. Where were you, Miss Green, the night Kelly Johnson died? Parker inquired with a soft tone towards the elderly woman sitting across the table. Rachel Green gracefully tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and responded, I see what you're after. A sensational headline that reads, Eccentric Elder Murders Prominent Entrepreneur. However, I'm sorry to disappoint you. While it's true Kelly may have brought it upon herself with her selfish actions, I had nothing to do with it. She was always taking things from people. She got what she deserved. As for me, I've never set foot in her property. But Miss Green, you did consider a large part of her house as your property. Did you happen to be on that side by chance? Of course, but I couldn't have shot her from here, now could I? What with the window shut and everything. I never told you the window was shut. Rachel Green looked uncomfortable and guilty, and she quickly retorted, Oh, I kept an eye on her. So when the police showed up, I knew exactly what was going on. So you must have seen someone going in. I think it was one of her lovers. He unlocked the door with the key and went in. She was sleeping around all the time. Parker was a little tired of the woman's snarky comments. It was highly likely that she was making up this lover because Kelly had been too busy to date. Parker wasn't convinced. It seemed almost too convenient that the cameras on Kelly Johnson's door were out of order. Also, Rachel had threatened her with a big rifle just one day prior to the murder. He headed over to the bar. The bartender from last night had a lot to say about the events that took place that night. Kelly Johnson had a lot of people talking about her, he said. She sure stepped on a lot of toes. Her assistant seemed particularly mad at her and kept saying things about how she was going to get back at her for wasting her time. What about Michael Bennett? Oh, Mr. Bennett was great. He was funny. He gave me a great tip at the end of the night for his gin and tonic. He even offered to pay for everyone's drink, but had forgotten his card. He put his watch as collateral so I wouldn't be worried while he went and got some money. Good guy, good guy. When he came back, he told me that he came across some cash due to some type of promotion and said he wanted to share his good fortune with me, you know what I'm saying? The David guy, though, guy with the glasses, he was just tossing stuff about how Kelly took everyone for granted and that he was going to unmask her and whatnot. Just crazy stuff. Parker noted it all down, and his suspicions on Emily kept growing. As Lucas Reed flew in that evening, Detective Parker met him to question him about Kelly. Parker noticed the man's dislike for Kelly right away, but Lucas Reed expressed his disappointment in her death. A worthy opponent, Kelly was a strong woman. She always fought tooth and nail and got what she wanted almost every time. It is my understanding that you two had a falling out some years ago, and you left Harborview Realty Partners? But let me be clear, as much as I may dislike Kelly, I would never resort to murder, especially not for something so petty. She may have stolen my ideas and my company, but that's just business. And from what I've heard, she was stealing from her own company as well. Lucas continued with a note of disgust in his voice. Parker was intrigued. What do you mean by that? Lucas huffed at the detective. Kelly Johnson was embezzling money from her company. This was uncovered around the same time she was murdered. Detective Parker got back into his car with his partner. We have to find out if anyone knew about Kelly's embezzlement. Where was the money going? I want a complete financial audit on Kelly Johnson. As the week grew to a close, the mysterious case appeared to have solved itself. A startling discovery was made at Kelly Johnson's house when the lifeless body of Rachel Green was found with a gunshot wound to her head. The same gun used to kill Kelly. Alongside her lay a typed suicide note, which confessed to the murder of Kelly Johnson, blaming her for being a thief. Detective Parker was not convinced. The old woman seemed to have gone to great lengths by printing out a note on Kelly's computer of all things. But then, she did seem unhinged, and she did feel like Kelly had occupied some of her property. Well, seems like this was an open and shut case. Parker's partner commented as he headed home for the night. I don't know, Rick. Something doesn't add up. I've been going over the interview tapes, and I feel like maybe we left out something. I don't know about you, but I'm done for the day. I'm meeting Helen for dinner. Okay, enjoy your night. You better get going too. That's some heavy rain coming on. Parker was going through some camera footage when his cell phone rang. He picked it up. Detective Alan Parker. It was David Lee.
Detective, I have something important to tell you. I have details about the crime. Kelly was never taking money from the company. It was someone else. Someone was forging her signature the entire time, and I have evidence that says this person killed her.
Parker told him to calm down and give more details.
I can't talk right now. I think I accidentally tipped off the killer. I'm being followed as we speak. Hey, meet me at the bar. Gotta go.
Parker quickly grabbed his gun and badge to meet with David. The urgency in his voice had turned to pure fear. The rain had turned to a storm by now. It was the kind of night that kept people indoors, but Parker had a job to do. He had been trying to reach David, but his calls went unanswered. With a sinking feeling, he finally made it to the bar where they were supposed to meet. The place was almost deserted. Only a few patrons nursing their drinks in the dimly lit corners remained. Parker made his way to the bar and took a seat. He ordered a drink, trying to calm his nerves. The clock ticked away, with still no sign of David. Parker was starting to get worried. He worried if he should just leave. He paid for his drink and went to use the bathroom. But what he found there made his blood run cold. David lay lifeless on the floor, a bullet hole in his forehead. Parker's heart raced as he frantically searched for clues. A boot print on the floor caught his eye. The killer had fled through the window into the alley behind the bar. Parker's mind went crazy as he realized the killer was still out there, somewhere in the dark and stormy night. Parker followed out of the window. As he jumped and touched down, he came face to face with the killer. "It was you," Parker exclaimed, pointing a gun at the murderer in front of him. Deep down in his mind, he had known who it was all along. If only he'd gone with his hunch. So, that is the case. You have to be the detective now and tell me who the killer was. Who do you think the murderer was? Also, why do you think they did it? Send us your message at noconductradio@gmail.com. Don't put it in the comments below because then everybody will get a hint as to what you're thinking. Send it to us at noconductradio@gmail.com along with like a first name or a username you want me to call out when I give up the answer and say who won the prize. The answer will be given up in next week's show, not this Sunday show coming out, next week's show. So I'll give everyone a chance to listen and everyone a chance to send in their answers. So next week's, not this Sunday, like I said, next Sunday show, the answer will be given and the winners will be chosen. So I want to say a couple sorries. Apologies, I'm not an author. So if this was way too easy, then I'm so sorry. I really tried my best so this can be fun but it still could be like a mystery. Also, I'm not a voice actor, so I apologize if the voices were off. And just apologies on the whole. But I hope you enjoyed it. So this was our murder mystery night, and I'm looking forward to all the responses. noconductradio@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/love and murder, and become an exclusive lamb over there. You can get commercial-free episodes. You can get bonus episodes. We have a lot of fun over there. You can come in starting at $1 and above, but the $1 tier only gives you the commercial-free early access episodes. But if you come in at $5 and above, you get all the bonus episodes, all our back catalog. When I take off season 1 off of here, you'll still have season 1 in our exclusive group. So you get a lot of stuff over there. Our social media is down in the links below. So follow us on social media. Like us and follow us on whatever platform you're listening on. All that good jazz. Can't wait to get your responses. And as I leave you with every episode, remember that it's all love and no murder, y'all. Bye.